Live and alert on the north side of the dirt. It is your man D Real coming at you with another Be Real with D Real, where edutainment is what I do. Check it out, y'all. It's time for a Black History moment. What? It's March. So it's time for a Black History moment. And as y'all know, at Be Real with D Real, I try to give you them obscure Black history facts, them things you may not have known or that they don't normally teach during Black History Month, because we're too busy talking about Harriet Tubman or Malcolm X or Martin Luther King or Jackie Robinson or Booker T. Washington or George Washington Carver. Not to say that any of those people are insignificant. I'm just saying I feel like a lot of those folks are saturated into the memory of our Black history diaspora. So I want to add a few more names on there. Well, at least one today. Claudette Colvin. Who? Claudette Colvin. Also, she's still alive today, walking around, breathing. So when y'all want to say this and that was old and y'all need to get over it, okay, perspective is everything. Context is too. Depends on what and when it's applicable. But before we get off into all of that, I need y'all to do what you always do for me. Comment, like, subscribe, and share the Be Real with D Real page so that when the material comes out, you get it. If you're digging what a brother's shoveling, put some dirt in my bucket. Comment, like, subscribe, and share the page. Red and gold until I'm dead and cold. Already. Oh, and I am not trying to offend any of my indigenous people with this design. If it is offensive to y'all, let me know. I won't rock it on air no more. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be I respect the respectable. You know what I mean? I know how y'all feel about all that, but let's just get into Claudette Colvin, shall we? All right, y'all. This right here is one Claudette Colvin. Claudette Colvin is currently 83 years old. Okay? And she was born in Montgomery, Alabama on September 5th, 1939. That makes her a Virgo. Now, I know what you're saying. What is she famous for? Maybe if I show you what she looked like at the time, at the height of her popularity. There you go. That's Claudette Colvin. Age, let's say about 15 years old. Now, what's so special about Claudette Colvin? What is so special about this young lady? Now, you know how trends kick off. Back in the 50s, it was trendy to arrest Black people. Now, Black people got arrested for a myriad of things, just like they get shot for a myriad of things now. Back in the 1950s, at least the early 1950s or the mid 1950s, Black people could not ride on the front, in the front seats of a city bus. They had to go to the rear. And if there was a seat in the middle or the back and a white person needed a seat, guess who had to get up and give up their seats, no matter where the hell they was at on the bus? Yep, that's right. You guessed it. Now, what is 15-year-old Claudette Colvin known for? 15-year-old Claudette Colvin is known for being arrested in Montgomery, Alabama for refusing to give up her seat to a white person. 9 months before Rosa Parks did it. Now, not to take away from the flame and the fire with which Rosa Parks performed the very same act that Claudette Colvin did 9 months earlier, but make no mistake, Claudette Colvin was kind of like, if I might be so bold as to say this, was kind of like the Trayvon Martin of her time. She was the catalyst that sparked a whole lot of things that ended up happening. What ended up happening? Because she got arrested, it drew the attention of the NAACP. And back then, when you drew the attention of the NAACP, more than likely there was a lawsuit pending. Colvin was one of 4 plaintiffs in the first federal case ever filed by the civil rights attorney Fred Gray on February 1st, 1956, as Browder versus Gale to challenge bus segregation in the city. In a United States District Court, she testified before a 3-panel judge, or a 3-judge panel, that heard the case. On June 13th of that same year, the judges determined that the state and local laws requiring bus segregation in Alabama were unconstitutional. The case went to the United States Supreme Court on appeal by the state, and the state upheld the district's court ruling in November of that same year. 1 month later, the Supreme Court affirmed the order to Montgomery and the state of Alabama to end bus segregation. Okay? Supreme Court declared segregation on public transportation to be unconstitutional, thanks in part to the lawsuit Browder versus Gale, which was filed on behalf of Colvin and 3 other women. This incident inspired Miss Colvin to become a civil rights advocate, to fight for the rights of Black people. Based on the incident she went through, she was part of the civil rights movement from 1954, before she got arrested, up until 1968, which effectively saw kind of it go into a hiatus or a hibernation of sorts, thanks to Tricky Dick Nixon and the drugs he was flooding into the neighborhood and the arrests he was making and throwing people. That's a video for another time. I'm gonna park it right now and just say, if you were the parent of Claudette Colvin back in 1955, and you heard your 15-year-old daughter, I have a 15-year-old daughter. If I heard that my 15-year-old daughter got arrested, I don't even care what it's for. If she didn't kill nobody, and even if she did, you know what I mean? That's my baby. Y'all ain't throwing her behind no bars. Y'all ain't putting her behind no bars. We're going to have a whole bunch of problems. I'm going to have to stay home, smoke a lot of weed, because I'm going to have to calm down. You know what I mean? I'm not, nah, man. I get very irrational when it comes to my girls. Period, point blank. You can't say nothing crazy to me about my children. Now, that is not a point of joking at all. Don't even do it. Don't even try it. We're going to have all kind of problems. Try me if you think I'm faking. You think it's cat. But long story short, she became a nurse's aide after that. Noble profession. That means she was giving of her time for other people. She was helping other people in need. So that was a true definition of somebody who cared about the civil rights of other people. Not to mention, equating it to her own personal experience. Before this video, how many of y'all knew anything about Claudette Colvin? How many of y'all knew she was still alive? Because a lot of times I hear people talk about, oh, that stuff that they used to do back in the 1950s, blah, blah, blah. Think about this. And this is really important that y'all remember it. There are people in the 1950s who were recipients of that violence, of that racism, of that segregation, who are still walking around, living, breathing today. They in their 70s, they in their 80s, they still alive. They're your grandparents, they're your great uncles and aunts. Talk to them. That ain't that far removed. If there's people alive who are recipients of some of this, and then here's an even scarier thought. Some of the people who perpetrated that violence, that brutality, that injustice are still alive today. And they are perpetuating the message of hatred, indifference, separatism to their children and their grandchildren. And the cycle's continued. Because hate is something that's taught. You don't pick it up. It's something you learn, whether it's through action or words in action. You learn hate. You just don't wake up one day and say, I'm going to hate them people because they're Chiefs fans. Well, I mean, you could, but I'm saying that has to be taught to you. The concept of hate in general. Okay, that's why you see those videos, little white child, little black child, they seen each other in a long time. They meet up in the park and hug each other. Their parents ain't taught them that BS. And that's how we need to be. We don't need to teach that. We need to let it go. But for the people that ain't letting it go, we letting you know. We know you ain't letting it go. So we see you. Shouts out to Miss Claudette Colvin. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for being that example. Thank you for waking up one day and just simply saying, I ain't having that shit no more. I'm tired of this. Something got to change. And this is a lesson, too, that could be taken away from a lot of people that who are part of the Recast T'Challa movement. Don't nothing change until you change it. Talk is talk, but change is change. And we're going to change some things with our actions, not our words. Stay tuned. That's it for now. Fret not. I will be coming at you with another one of them other ones. And until I do, y'all be good. Be good to each other.